Penang, an island in the north of Malaysia, also a historic city of immigration. Here, we continue to seek the figures of frontline residents, but not those who remain in their ancestral homes. Instead, we explore the lives of those who chose to leave their homeland to escape war and seek peace. In the north of Georgetown and Penang, there is an unknown Kingman village where descendants of Kingman live. These people are now Malaysian citizens, but they still have a deep emotional connection to their homeland Kingman, which makes their life stories quite unique. Since the 1950s, these islands have been on the front lines facing communist China.
Leaving out Quemoy and Matsu, draw a line in effect, abandoning these islands to the communists.
Over the decades, the history of war has shaped these islanders' unique ways of life. They are the frontline residents. On the northern coast of Penang, where the earliest Chinese settlers landed, there is a Kingman village, where most of the residents' ancestors came from Kingman.
金门人来，他们就会聚集在一个地方，以捕鱼为主，所以就会形成槟城的现在这个金门村。
In 2008, Georgetown in Penang, Malaysia, was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Lim, a key figure in this achievement, has an in-depth understanding of Penang's history and culture.
这个城市叫做Georgetown， 就是那时候的国王是 King George， 就是乔治第3世啊，所以就开发了这整个岛，然后就吸引了很多来自中国南方城市，比方是闽南、福建的泉州、漳州人，然后潮州人，还有广府人，啊，就是都是南方比较多。还有他英国人又带了印度，因为那时候印度属于英国，又带了印度的一些罪犯来开发这个城市，然后包括我们在地的又有印尼的那些马来人一大堆，所以呢就有各不同的种族跟不同的习惯在这里，大家一起的开发这个城市。
Lim drove us to Tanjung Dokong, located in the northern part of Penang. It's a village predominantly inhabited by people from Kingman, many of whom have the surname Tang. For example, Dong Yenyun's great-grandfather came to Penang to escape the war and settled down here.
咱種㗎啦，
我種啊，石等嘅隻樹，
石等嘅，
一半個雞啊，
有啊，一半個雞啊，
差唔多啊，70%有啊，石等嘅人嘅了。所講嘅澎湃有時啦，福建金梅
啊，對，人嘅做講嘅
你話人嘅厝嘅梅，往厝嘅即梅即擺啊，都係到金菇羹，一係
對啦，我講嘅幫意思係金梅呢，
金梅呢，
係咧，
啊，呢是所在名
啊，我講嘅，
我諗做講嘅咧有係福建金梅。
In Kingman's Gugang village, almost the entire village also shares the surname Tung. This surname, and others from Kingman village in Penang, such as Tung, Tang, or Tong, actually originate from the same Chinese character. One prominent Tung is actually a Kingman County councillor named Dong Senbao.
过去金门地区的这些传统聚落因为防卫的机制要对抗当初的可能，比如说海盗啦、倭寇啦，还有跟其他族姓的一些对抗所以都是很明显的单姓村的一个特色。比如说我们古冈呢，有95%以上几乎全部都姓董。
In the 19th century, Southeast Asia, rich in natural resources yet underdeveloped, was a colonial target coveted by major empires and a key investment focus for multinational companies. To flee war and economic turmoil, people from Kingman often chose to go to Southeast Asia in hopes of achieving overnight success. Once successful, people from Kingman would send money back home or even return with substantial wealth to settle down. However, after 1949, Kingman became a military outpost and was strictly blockaded. These Kingman residents, who moved like migratory birds between Kingman and Southeast Asia, were forced to halt their movements.
哎呀，我就讲了，也久未战争啦。我的老爸加少年家啊，就政府带去做兵，伊的妈叫伊甘要走，你无走，你就去做兵的样，拍袂赢人的。12岁走，头一走就掠刀短，第二走成功，走来马来啊。
Dong Zhongshu once visited Kingman with his son, hoping to add his and his father's names to the family temple.
他庙开公庙的人来了，他叫他来了，哎，快点来，快点！他槟城人呐、要来这里拜他的祖先呐、我跟我的孩子就去了，去我问他公庙的人啊，我要找我的父亲的名啊，你的父亲是什么名？董春宽。 从前修理这个庙的时候呢，我的姑姑替他出钱3000块。我要找我的父亲的名。
We asked Dong Senbao if it was indeed possible to find Dong Zhenshu's name in the family genealogy.
那根据我们族谱的记载呢，他的阿公呢叫董安次。 那闽南语叫做当安子啊，安子其实就是地瓜的意思。根据我手上拿到的资料，这个董存宽阿公拿到了这个神主牌其实跟他的墓碑有点落差神主牌上面记载是董番次，那这个番的闽南语的音其实跟这个安次其实是一样。后来他再去找到了那个墓碑墓碑里面确实记载，就是他印象没错，他阿公叫做董安次。 他是我们古冈这个春鹤宫的长子，可能大概在约莫100多年以前，就整个家族移居到这个马来西亚的本头公寓。
Those forced to migrate due to war always carry some scars. As mentioned here, sometimes they lost their own names in the process of moving across countries. Chunde Chinese Medicine Pharmacy is an old pharmacy in Kingman with a history of nearly 200 years, which imports spices from Southeast Asia. Surprisingly, during the era of frequent trade exchanges between Kingman and Southeast Asia, it also served as an underground bank between the two regions.
那时候没有银行，没有邮局，人就必须不晓得到怎么寄回来，然后就透过我们的船。
This is Yan Jiren, the 5th generation owner of Chunde Chinese Medicine Pharmacy.
那时候还没发展成那个侨汇的时候，是直接用银元代替，就是直接拿给那个丹邦客，把那个钱带到本地我们那个他乡亲的手上。不过因为这个水路的话，海盗很多，到后来的话，因为不安全，就改成用汇票这样子。 那时候就是像那个马来西亚是以最多的，再来就是印尼、新加坡这些都有，甚至于到菲律宾。
In Penang, we also met a villager who used to send money back to Kingman to help relatives.
我的爸爸是金门人，我的妈妈是槟城人，我的哥是。 我的老爸在金门带出来，我5岁，我老爸就无了，然后我哥哥顾我们咯，跟我妈妈，然后我嘛爱提钱就写信写回来这兜讨钱咯。迄阵人金门看过吗？然后写信来往槟城讨钱咯，然后我的哥哥就寄过去了，然后寄到我的2哥过世了。 没有人寄过去了。
这个就是一个传统的一个以前的侨会的一个柜台，我们要通知他们来拿信件跟那个寄过来的银两的话，他会从这个柜台进来，我们会从这个柜台的话，有钱收进来的话，会把钱直接放在这里面。啊，如果说他们来取那个信件跟他们寄的钱的话，就在从抽屉里面打开的话，把这个钱拿给他们，要寄给他们的乡亲这样子。
这些当初会去下南洋的这些先人们，其实都是希望说在南洋的工作能够有所成就，然后到最后能够光宗耀祖、衣锦还乡。那比如说在金门有很多的洋楼的建筑，那有很多番仔厝，这些番仔楼都是这些侨资呢回来帮忙兴建。包括我们现在在的这一栋叫古冈学校，也是当时我们古冈很有名的2个侨领跟我们古冈村的村民呢共同合资来兴建的。
First-generation immigrants often yearn for their homeland, believing that they will return someday. In contrast, the second and third generations gradually come to identify with their new country, becoming locals in their adopted land. This is a very common narrative among immigrants.
我们槟城呢，那个文化又几乎是凝固在某个历史的时间跟空间，又跟台湾跟大陆不一样，所以就塑造了我们本地的一个独特的文化。槟城有一道很出名的那个小吃叫 rojak， 就是什锦水果，可是会放一种酱，那种酱叫 rojak， 所以我就把这个文化叫做 rojak 文化。
The Kingman people in Penang returned to their homeland to reclaim their cultural heritage, not to re-establish a Taiwanese identity, but to give Kingman broader significance and attribute a more diverse identity to the area. Although these people have left Kingman and lost contact with relatives back home, their lineage can still be traced through their names. For example, siblings of the same generation often share a generational character in their names. This way, even after 100 years of separation, members of this family can use these characters to confirm their relationships with each other. Dong Senbao mentioned that the previous generation in his family all had the character Lun in their names.
我是马来西亚第3代华人董伦伦，来自槟城。其实这个牌匾对我们来讲是很重要，因为那时候我还记得我小时候，我父亲就讲这个是如果有牌匾在屋外，这个3个字就是姓董的，多数是来自金门。
Many people in the village hang plaques at their doorways bearing the name Jinghu Xing, an ancient name for the Gogang area of Kingman, their place of origin.
那我们古冈村呢是在大金门岛的最西南端的一个海岸，那它大概有3个方向是临海的，那这是一个典型的一个渔村那最早它的古名呢，应该是叫做虎兴，那这个虎兴的这个虎本来就是水边的一个意思。
Nowadays, the descendants of these people are following their ancestors' footsteps, not because they identify with an abstract national symbol, but rather out of love. Their parents and grandparents missed their homeland, and the children, out of love for their parents and grandparents, are willing to trace their ancestors' footsteps.
他去不到，我帮他圆那个他想回去的地方。他以前有想过他想回去，但是经济条件不允许，但可能他们也不会。那时候又可能有小孩子，他就又不能走，所以我就想圆他的梦，这样子去看看，带他去看看。
Dong Lunlun's wish to return to Kingman on behalf of his deceased father has yet to be fulfilled. However, many descendants of Kingman immigrants have come to study in Kingman. They may have come from Malaysia and other countries in Southeast Asia. Most of them are driven by a desire to visit the place their ancestors fled from in haste. For example, Zhang Weini from Johor, Malaysia, studied at Kingman University and worked a part-time job in Kingman.
这
就是那时候是我有跟我妈妈说，我隔天会来到家庙来看一下，然后我妈妈就说要带一些水果啊，我想可是家庙又不让女生进，而且也没开，然后我想我就算了，那我就只是去拜一下，然后我妈就打一串的字给我，就跟我说外曾祖父什么名字，外曾祖母什么名字，然后外公什么名字，然后外婆有什么名字，让我就是在家庙前面跟祖先讲一下，我来看一下他们，就说一定要跪下来，就是心里告诉他们。然后那时候也是有一些游客走过，我那时候也是有在犹豫要不要跪下来，然后最后还是有跪下来，因为我觉得认祖归宗好像也没有什么不好意思的事情。
Weini's surname is Zhang, but her maternal great-grandfather, who emigrated from Kingman's Otuo village to Malaysia, had the surname Ouyang. Weini's emotional connection to Kingman stems from her mother and her maternal grandmother. While they do not share the same surname, their genuine affections have been passed down through several generations of women.
的确，我们有不少来自东南亚的侨社，因为我觉得这是一个很好的就是国际交流的机会。然后呢，也是帮我们这块土地就是带来新生的力量。我们东南亚金侨的后裔，他再回来的时候呢，他又可以带着一个新鲜感回来。他好像回来寻根，可其实呢，他也是在这边扎根。他又在这边发生了新的关系，所以这个源跟流是不停的流转，一直不停的变化的。然后我们这块土地也会因为这样子变得更加的新鲜。
This is an alternative story of the frontline residents. Even after having left for generations, they continue to preserve and extend the culture and stories of their homeland overseas, healing the separations and wounds inflicted by war. Such emotions are not intended to build a transnational empire, but rather to ensure that everyone lives well in their respective countries. Seeds of a flower scattered far and wide transcend harm, making the world more diverse, beautiful, and emotionally fulfilled. The tense and conflict-laden waters of the Taiwan Strait are more than just an expanse of the sea. They're also a group of islands. These islands are located on the front lines, bearing a complex history and rich memories. Over time, the people living on these islands have developed unique ways of life. They are the frontline residents.